extremely out of energy. I don't know if you can hear me yet. I'm still waiting for it to load, as always. Still loading. Sounds pretty good to me. Now, if you came here to hear thoughts on the Super Bowl, you're at the wrong place. Because I did not watch the freaking Super Bowl. And I apologize. I kind of apologize. Because I slacked all last week and did not make any videos. And things that I feel I provide the most opinion on, aka wrestling and basketball. It's a crazy ass week, as it was the trade deadline week, and we had some WrestleMania stuff go down. We're going to play some catch up and talk about a great majority of it here on Shooting the Breeze. Now, last year, when the trade deadline happened at the NBA, I did 2 separate videos providing grades. I feel a combination of y'all don't want me to go really in depth with that. I will say right now, I have a page of notes in front of me. Some things that I might dwell into extra detail with, but more than likely, I will at least read what I have wrote down, and if I feel I need to go more in depth with it, I will. And also, I'm pretty sure I cover almost every team except the Pelicans. There's a handful of teams like I don't really have to talk about. Like the Pelicans, I don't think even did anything, and they're in a good position. Don't have to talk about them. Spurs, of course, you want to be a better team, but you're an extremely young pick. You literally just have the number 1 pick. Don't have to talk about you. Pistons, y'all, no matter what I say, it might not really matter. But in this video, I will talk about a great majority of the trade deadlines. If I don't go in depth with every trade, I apologize. And the things for WrestleMania number 40. So, starting with trade deadline. I think the team that we could say was the winner of the deadline were the Dallas Mavericks, because they improved a lot by getting Daniel Gafford and PJ Washington. Daniel Gafford kind of seemed like the center that almost every team wanted to get, and they essentially got him for second-round picks and Rashawn Holmes. So it was, I'm not going to say they gave up nothing, but it was close to nothing to get the center that everybody wanted. And PJ Washington should and will fit in very well with their team. And so I like what the Mavericks did. But, Hornets, I'm going to next. Thank you for moving on from Gordon Hayward and Terry Rozier. I know it's kind of weird that this Rozier trade, I think, happened like almost a month ago, and I never really talked about it. But essentially, since I've been talking about the freaking NBA on my channel, talking about I'd like the Hornets to move on from those two. And they finally did. For Rozier, they essentially just got a first-round pick. For Gordon Hayward, they didn't. Trey Mann did good. Midget, I don't know how to say his name. Now I'm going to sound like an asshole. I ended up watching the Hornets game Saturday because they play the Grizzlies. And the other person that they got in that trade was doing us up. So I apologize for not knowing your names, but I know it's very difficult to pronounce. But essentially what I was trying to get at is, at least for PJ Washington, like Grant Williams obviously is not an improvement over PJ Washington. You got a first-round pick out of that as well, but like Grant Williams also learned is from North Carolina, from that broadcast. But at least they got something back from PJ Washington, which is nice. And I have always wanted to, I'm not going to say I've always wanted to see Seth Curry on the Hornets, but it is a very fitting tribute, as his father played there. Granted, in that first game that I was just talking about, it took a long ass time for him to hit a 3, but he finally did. But I like what the Hornets are doing. They're finally, it kind of all just seemed like since LaMelo's been there, they've stayed put. If they haven't stayed put, they've just went backwards. Where right now, they're at least trying to step forward. Hopefully, it continues to go that way, because I think they have good players there. And good on Brandon Miller for showing out the past couple of games as well. I feel the main thing that I need to say. And it's also weird because before they play the Grizzlies, they were on this like long-ass losing streak. And I saw that the Grizzlies were favored 68% in that game. I'm like, that is extremely too damn high. So that is what it is. I also forgot to mention All-Star Weekend. I'll mention that at the very end. But All-Star Weekend, I should remember it because it's all over this freaking game. But the main reason I'm playing Triple Threat, because it's been the last time I did Shoot in the Breeze, I played Fall Guys. The main reason I'm playing this is because I'm very close to getting the Pink Diamond Michael Red card, and so it's just like I'm getting closer to it, and y'all could see me doing that. Next team, the Indiana Pacers. It definitely sucks that they moved on from Buddy Hield because Tyrese Halliburton's whole NBA career, he's played with Buddy Hield, and we know that they're good buddies, pun intended. But I imagine that's a move because they did not expect him to come back in the offseason. So hopefully that's not a move that they regret doing. For the Sixers, I just think it is going to. I wouldn't really want to. If I was them, I'm not rushing Embiid to come back. If I'm just being honest, just how the whole situation, circumstances, in him getting injured and like the narrative that's going on is like he was ducking games and all that crap. I wouldn't rush Embiid coming back, and it kind of like slowly and seemingly means that I would probably put a lot of my efforts into next season. So if he comes back, I'm not rushing it. But it's just like it seems like everything that I feel about the Sixers, I would be concerned and waiting about next season, in my opinion. But good for them to get Buddy Hield because he has been rumored to be traded and on the Sixers for years, even when freaking Ben Simmons was there. That was a long time ago. I didn't write this down, but this trade deadline, I could already tell because we were spoiled the last 2 to even 3 trade deadlines. Because 3 trade deadlines ago is when Nikola Vucevic got traded to the Bulls, and that move felt like it was out of nowhere. Granted, also, I just feel like there's a couple of moves that I was forgetting out. I'm trying to think, was that the same? No, it would have been the next year that Porzingis got traded as well. That trade deadline, like I said, Porzingis got traded, and then the James Harden, Ben Simmons trade happened, and then obviously last year's trade deadline with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving getting traded. Like we saw all-stars and superstars getting traded in like shock out of nowhere trades, where this year was the come down. So that's kind of another reason like I have delayed it. It's just like kind of, I'm just not really disappointed, but if we were talking about this like in an entertainment sense and like a storyline sense, this one wasn't as exciting as the past, but I fully expected that. So that is what it is. Next team, Brooklyn Nets. I've talked highly on this Nets team, even though a lot of the season has been not that good. That wasn't a good shot attempt by me, by the way. But I have just constantly been saying I would try to be getting an improvement over Spencer Dinwiddie. Dennis Schroeder, I feel, is like the same level as Dinwiddie, but he's at least in improvement defensively and maybe even like leadership-wise. That might be a bit of a stretch, but it's just... At least they moved on from Dinwiddie. They didn't get like a DeJounte Murray or even in the offseason offseason when I was saying, hey, go after Drew Holiday. DeJounte would have been a great fit for them. They probably had to give up a lot, but wait and see in the offseason what they can do. But Schroeder should do for now. I don't really know if they're going to make the play-in or not. I would like it if they did. Dun, 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 dun. Speaking of New York, the Knicks... I'm happy for them because this is going to sound like an asshole thing to say, but it's just like a great majority of my life, I've been alive for 23 years, the Knicks have sucked. And we talk a lot about the Knicks because they're in New York, they're in the Mecca, and all this crap, Madison Square Garden. I know I kind of sounded, I ain't going to say nothing bad about Madison Square Garden. It hosted Royal Rumble 2000. But it's like a majority of my life, the Knicks have not been that good. I will say this. This is another... I like telling stories of like things that I remember. I remember probably the highest moment outside of like playoff wins for the Knicks in my lifetime was the game between the Knicks and the Bulls in 2012 where Carmelo hit the game to send it to overtime, and then he hit a crazy-ass shot in overtime. I think that was... I might be making this part up. It might have been Easter Day. That being said, though, essentially what I was trying to get at, though, I did not get to watch that damn overtime. I was watching that game live, like I was saying, on ABC. It went to overtime, and I'm like, damn, what the hell's taking long for this to start? They sent that shit to the local news. I did not get to see that overtime. And then I watched Sports Center like later, and I saw them like I thought they replayed the like same shot, the one that sent it to overtime, because it was very similar to the shot again that he hit in overtime. I was like, what the hell? That's what happened. So again, it's trying to talk highly on the Knicks, but it's just like this Knicks team. Jalen Brunson is doing very well. He's an all-star. I don't really like that they're trying to blow so much smoke up his ass, but it just like seems like he is so consistent that they can, because it just doesn't make him seem like a joke and what they're saying a joke. But essentially what I'm trying to get at is like this Knicks team, I'm not going to say is stacked, but it definitely has a good chance of doing something good, because again, they got two players that a lot of teams really wanted in OG Anunoby and even Bogdanovich, which when the trade was initially reported, it was like Quentin Grimes for Alec Burks, and everybody's like, oh my God, the Pistons did so well. They fleeced. And then like minutes later, it's like, oh yeah, Bogdanovich is involved in this. But it's like, it's the good thing is because we know that Tom Thibodeau teams, and we're seeing it happen right now for them, sadly, they get very exhausted because they have to play a lot of minutes, where right now their bench is very good. So they got rid of guys that they didn't really want. They did not really have to give up much, and made improvements and got guys that they wanted in OG Anunoby, and in this, talk about the deadline, in Bojan Bogdanovic. I know I was going to mess it up, but it's Bojan with the J. So I like the Knicks' chances. I really do. And they will be a fun watch. And watching playoff basketball at Madison Square Garden could be great. Unless they are doing ass, then it's just like we wasting time. I won't lie. Last year, the freaking Cavaliers series, they won. It was not very pretty for either side, though. So that's what I'm saying. If like they have a good team, I think they have a good team right now. It should be fun basketball come playoff time. It's also kind of crazy because I've watched them against the Grizzlies at MSG. Then they had a national TV game against the Mavericks, and they had a national TV game against the Lakers. So I've seen a lot of basketball. Granted, they did not win two of those games, but again, their team's very hurt. So hopefully they can get healthy. Dun, 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 dun. Bucks. I talked about this at the very end of the last episode. I have no clue why the hell they fired Adrian Griffin. They are just shitting the bed, I think is the best way to put it. Of course, you have a new coach. It's going to take some time, but it's just like, unless Adrian Griffin like did something to like actually piss off a great majority of the team, I just would have stuck it out. Again, I'm not an NBA front office guy. I'm just a fan. But it's just like everybody's saying they are shitting the bed and just head scratching. Just very, very head scratching at the moment. And again, the majority of what I was saying was like, I don't know why the hell they hired Doc Rivers. That Pat Bev move, I don't really know if that's going to send them over the top. Actually, it's definitely not going to send them over the top, but it's just like, if I was the Bucks, I'd be more worried about my future. Just because Giannis is there don't mean Giannis wants to stay. We've seen these damn trade requests happen a lot, and what also does not help is that the supporting cast is old. Lillard, veterans. I don't like saying old. Old is kind of an asshole thing to say, but it's just like Middleton, Lopez, Lillard. Older than a great majority, and even in this extent, talking about the deadline-related things, Pat Bev has been in the league a while. So it's just like, they need to start getting younger. I think it's the best case scenario, I'm thinking, but it's just like, I'm also not as high on the Bucks as I was in the offseason, especially after the firing of Adrian Griffin. Raptors probably wouldn't have gave up a first-round pick for Kelly Olynyk, but it was kind of like they also listened, because I was just saying, hey, go after Canadian players, and they obviously did that in getting Kelly Olynyk. And again, he was in the sort of same echelon as Daniel Gafford, the center that everybody wants because he can do a little bit of everything. And like I said, for the Raptors case, he's Canadian, and I feel that and getting OG Agbaji might be something that they're working on for in the offseason because they still kept Bruce Brown, and they'll wait and see and hope they're in a better situation to make a move in the offseason. But worst case scenario, they can keep Kelly Olynyk, and they should because he's Canadian, like I said. And we know the stereotype, what we say in the NBA, is that players don't want to play in Toronto. But we shall see what happens there. It's also very similar to what I said about Seth Curry, how it's fitting that like they're reunited, and now in this case they're technically reunited with having Olynyk back there. Now I talk about my Memphis Grizzlies. I'm gonna pause to make sure everything's going well. This season has been hell. At least we did not give up our first round pick. We gave up the Warriors pick to get Marcus Smart. This season has been hell. We already knew that was going to be the case with the Ja Morant suspension. And then Ja literally comes back. That was the most fun that this team's had all years when Ja came back. I wish we can go back to that game against the Pelicans. That was a great feeling. But it's just like this season has been hell. We've had injuries every freaking where. And, I'm always going to hope and think my team can win games. I don't know if they really share that mindset, so I'm not going to say the T word. The message I'm going to give, know what the fuck you want in the offseason. I didn't really want to go that harsh with it, but know what you want in the offseason. Know what you want. Because we got way too many teams in the West thinking they hot shit, like the Thunder, like the Pelicans, like the Timberwolves, where we've been the hot shit. Out of the younger teams, at least, for the last 3 years, because we made the playoffs. We made it at the second round. Have they? None of those 3 teams have. But, and I will say the same thing. They dealt with a lot of injuries during that time period, where we did deal with injuries and we made it. But it's just like this is kind of a next level that no one wants to freaking be in. So, moral of the story, know what the hell you want next year in the offseason. I skipped over the Thunder in my notes earlier, so I'll go through it. Good for getting a veteran in Gordon Hayward. It's also nice to see Gordon Hayward in a different situation just because, like, with the Hornets, it kind of felt like Groundhog Day, where with the Thunder, I don't really know what to expect. And that's a good thing. It's not a bad thing, but good for them getting a veteran. Timberwolves, hopefully Monte Morris works out. I've always been high on Monte Morris since the Nuggets, and I thought that the Wizards, when they traded for Monte Morris and Will Barton, and the Nuggets got back KCP, I thought the Wizards won that trade. They obviously didn't. We haven't really heard much from Monte Morris this year because he's been on the Pistons. But for the Timberwolves case, Mike Conley is a veteran player. I didn't want to say the O word again. It's kind of, an insurance policy, I think is the best way to put it. Clippers probably should have got something for PJ Tucker. Because, like, guard-wise, you got James Harden, Russell Westbrook, and Bones Highland. And if you want to include Terrence Mann in that, you can. Wing-wise, you got Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. Center-wise, you got a great-ass center rotation in Zubac, Mason Plumlee, and Daniel Tice. Norman Powell. I knew I was forgetting somebody. Norman Powell. And they believe and play Amir Coffey a lot. PJ Tucker just doesn't get to play. He wants to play. And I don't know, even if he gets the case to play for the freaking Clippers, would he want to. But I feel some team probably could have gave them something for PJ Tucker. Other than that, they're having a very good year. Maybe, I'm just overreacting. Celtics, Nuggets, and Cavaliers didn't really have to do anything. Like I said, I'm trying my best to mention every team. I'm not really going to mention the Jazz, but like the Jazz are kind of in that Spurs echelon where, let's see. All right, time out. I'm looking at my door of hats. Kings probably should wait to the offseason. You got to, if you go out in the first round again, you got to do something in the offseason to dramatically improve. Dramatically might be a bit of a stretch, but like they didn't do anything to change things. Probably wait in the offseason. Rockets, Spurs, Jazz, Pistons, Y'all didn't really need to do anything. Y'all doing good. Wizards, I don't really know what you can do with Jordan Poole. Now and Celtics, Nuggets, Cavs, y'all are in good positions. Y'all didn't really have to do anything and whatnot. So now we get to the teams that did not do anything that should have. The Atlanta Hawks. DeJounte Murray was supposed to be the big name that was moved this deadline, that everybody wanted to see move this deadline. I am on the Hawks side. They gave up 3 first-round picks to get him. Everybody said the Spurs fleeced. Then they re-signed him this damn offseason. And I was always skeptical of the move. Like, on paper, it should have worked out because, like, he provides the defense that Trae Young doesn't. And this year he's had a lot of clutch moments, but he's also, been on the damn trade block for most of this year as well. I'm on the Hawks side and them not trading him and then wait. Because, like, I wouldn't give up. Because a lot of what was seen to be rumored that they were getting back, you got to get something of value back because you did give up a lot to get him. Off season, if you make the play-in and then you make it to the playoffs as a freaking play-in team and then you just get eliminated in the first round again, do you just want to keep doing the same thing over and over again? Because that'll be the 3rd year in a row that is the case. So the Hawks should have a very busy off season now, but I wouldn't have gave up DeJounte Murray for nothing as rumored. Lakers, again, this is going to be a weird thought process, but a lot of people wanted to see them make moves, mainly Lakers fans. But it's just like, ever since LeBron has been there, they're always disappointed in a great majority of the players there. The freaking finals team, Lakers fans were disappointed with KCP, Danny Green, Kyle Kuzma. All year. The next year, kind of weird because it was a lot of injuries, but they were crapping on Montrezl Harrell, Marc Gasol most of the year. The year after, the season from hell, Russell Westbrook played one freaking game for them. They were already ready to freaking get rid of that crap. And then almost everybody else besides Carmelo Anthony left. Like, none of them made a team the next year. Now, Carmelo didn't make a team the next year, but like I was saying, it's like Carmelo did a decent job for them. And then last year was almost a same-ass team, but then they had the deadline of all deadlines, and then they made the damn conference finals. Moral of the story, I think it would have been extremely difficult for them to duplicate what they did last deadline. And I just feel that they're just going to continuously be in the same situation over and over again. So you just made the conference finals with this team. Very, very, very unlikely that's going to be the case this year. So don't just, like, do something to do something. Also, I just don't think Spencer Dinwiddie is really going to do anything for him. As like I've been saying, I haven't been that high on him this year. And I don't know why he would miraculously come to the Lakers and change things there. But I forgot who said this tweet. I said this in the last episode. It is extremely weird as hell that the first year of the LeBron and AD duo, they won a championship. Every year after that, they either were a play-in team or didn't make the playoffs. It's going to be extremely hard to actually explain that in 15 years to people that weren't experiencing what we're experiencing now. Team that is in a very similar situation to the Lakers, the Golden State Warriors. It is something that I talked about in the offseason. Is this the last ride, last chance for the big three? I would say yes, unless their roles change. Because finally, their younger guys, mainly Kuminga and Podziemski, hopefully I'm saying that right because I haven't talked a lot about him this year, have just stepped up. And I'm not going to be the guy to bash Klay Thompson because we see a lot of that. There's Klay is not the same and all this crap. But I was saying in the offseason that you probably couldn't bring Jordan Poole back. They obviously, I don't know if you could say they won that deal or not because Chris Paul seems very forgotten on that Warriors team. I know I could say that now because he's freaking hurt, but it's just that is it was just such a weird ass trade when it happened, and it's just still weird as hell now. Curry, it's just going to be difficult for him to constantly put out these crazy ass performances at his veteran age. But it's just like, at least with Kuminga and Pozeski, like I said, they're stepping up. But it's just like, for this big three of Curry, Clay, and Draymond that's won 4 champions for this team, at some point you're going to have to move on. Clay's expiring contract. The way he's played this year, I wouldn't give him a crazy-ass contract, but it's just like a bit of loyalty might mean something and might dictate what he does. Again, if I was them in the offseason, I also forgot I didn't even say anything about Wiggins, but there's nothing really to say. The offseason, I would hopefully think I could convince Clay and Draymond to come, at least Clay to come off the bench. I think that would help a lot, but that might cause extreme chaos. Again, they're in the same situation as the Lakers, I feel, where if they just changed a lot of things at the deadline, it just would be difficult to win with it. And I just, more of the story, think this is the last ride for the big three. And it just is a weird case where they might not even make the freaking play-in, which would be, as someone that has suffered with watching the freaking Warriors for years and years, I ain't losing sleep over it. I would actually kind of laugh at it, but it's a wait-and-see situation there. Last but not least, last thing to talk about, the Chicago Bulls. I think I've said this over and over again. They really want to duplicate what they did when Lonzo Ball played, and they were such a good team with DeMar, Vucevic, Levine, and Lonzo. But Lonzo has not played in 2 years. Next year, if he's able to play, it's going to be a lot of load manage, obviously. And it's now, like, the 2 young guys of that duo were, or that, like, I don't know what you would call that. That team, because it was the duo of DeMar and Vucevic, and the duo of Levine and Lonzo. And the younger duo are coming out with serious-ass freaking injuries. And more of the story, the Bulls just should have really rebuilt. I think almost everybody, besides the damn Bulls themselves, think that. And you also, like, have your young guy to, I'm not going to say build around, but, like, the young guy to step up that is just, like, the light at the end of the, gleaming light, I think is a better way to describe it. In Kobe White, who you've waited to see do something. And finally, he's doing something this year, but now it's kind of like, oh, we're looking at all this other stuff like, oh, Levine's hurt all this year. Oh, can we trade DeMar? Can we trade Vucevic? And you didn't do it. So it's just another case of you waiting to the offseason. And the worst-case scenario is if they re-sign DeMar, because, you know, we don't really know what DeMar's thinking. They re-sign DeMar. It's probably going to be like next freaking deadline that we're having the same damn conversation again. It's just wasting time. So that is my trade deadline thoughts. 30 minutes of it. If I skipped over something very, very gleaming, I apologize. But like I said, I did way better than last year because I spent a whole hour talking about it. Now we get to talk about WrestleMania 40, or at least the main event. Before we do that, I will take a water break, though. 2 SmackDowns ago, we had one of the more chaotic endings in which we saw Cody Rhodes declare that he will not be facing Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. But instead, another man would be, and that was The Rock. And like I said, the wrestling fandom was shook, pissed, confused, and I decided to wait it out. I was waiting. How long was I going to wait? I didn't know. A lot of people rushed to conclusion and what was happening, but if you notice, I didn't make a video about the crap. I haven't said anything about the crap. And like I said, the main reason I was waiting was because I saw when Rock and Roman were having their stare-off, obviously, A, The Rock didn't say any damn thing, and B, they flashed WrestleMania press conference that Thursday coming, it was last Thursday. And I'm like, I'm going to wait. If there's a match graphic made with The Rock and Roman Reigns by that time, that's when I think I'll do it. But again, like I said, I waited, and I'm glad that I did. Now, I had a lot of thoughts at that time, so I'm going to try to like go through them very, very briefly because some of them don't really matter. I did not want to see Cody and Seth again because it just didn't make any damn sense for Cody to do. Seth, I understood the reasoning. The main damn issue that I had was what the hell did The Rock do to like override Cody? And again, we didn't know the hypothetical match. Is it for the title? Is the main question that I have, which again, can't really answer yet. But it's just like, Cody just won the Rumble. Why the hell is he going to wait? And also, Cody's like, yeah, I took counseling and took advice. So, like, what the hell do the other people say to you? Again, moral of the story, a lot of this does not matter now. The press conference happens, and The Rock, is a bit of an asshole. Now, I'm going to say, I'm not the biggest Rock fan anymore. And it's not because of this. I started to be very, I don't know the best way to put it, because it's just going to seem like I absolutely hate The Rock, and that's not the case. But it's just like, my name's Austin. I'm named after Stone Cold. And, maybe it's just a little bit of bias that I'm always going to be, like, Team Stone Cold and everything. But my, like, being upset at The Rock started when he covered up the OG Brahma Bull tattoo. And, I'm not one to judge anybody's tattoos, but the one he has now, I don't like. And especially because, like, the OG Brahma Bull tattoo was iconic. Why the hell you change it? So that's where this, like, animosity towards The Rock comes from me at least. This situation, again, wait and see. Moral of the story. My whole thought process was there's 2 nights of WrestleMania. Night 1 should be The Rock versus Roman Reigns. Night 2 should be Cody versus Roman Reigns. Because does anybody think that The Rock's beating Roman Reigns? Like, if he did, it would be very, very hilarious, but I just don't know if that's the case. So, with that logic, Roman Reigns has a very, very intense match on night 1, and then night 2 is Cody versus Roman 2, and it would probably be a very similar like match as of to last year's, except obviously Cody wins. And, like, if you're to, like, ask, like, reasoning and how that was the case, Roman Reigns is extremely beat up because he just had a hard-fought WrestleMania main event match the night before. And the main reason I wanted to see this was, we can finally get this damn Cody Rhodes story and finish the story. I'm tired of hearing this over with, and B, their third matchup is very, very intriguing because it is tied 1-1, and each of them had an excuse to why they lost their matchup. Cody lost because Solo interfered. Roman lost because he had a match the night before. That third matchup, if and when it took place in my fantasy booking situation, it would take place the very first Raw on Netflix to get, like, that big-ass matchup to take place, because I don't know if fans would want to see it take place a third time in a row at WrestleMania. But again, that's something a whole year and change that I'm talking about now. But the situation we're in now is intriguing because I don't really know what's happening. The WrestleMania teaser trailer, it had The Rock, it had Roman Reigns, it had Cody Rhodes, it had Seth Rollins. Moral of the story, we're getting Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes. That's announced. That's the graphic. That's going to be in the thumbnail of this video. Seth, I feel sorry for because him and Punk would have had a lot of attention and would have been a big deal. But it just seems like Seth is just in a situation where it just doesn't have the same level of hype and care for. And I kind of respect that they're, like, trying to make him as an equal champion. The one thing that does bother the hell out of me is that, like, him and Roman have this, like, beef going on. And Roman constantly keeps saying, I've, like, beaten everybody. And almost everybody you beaten, Seth, I already beaten. Roman in this title reign didn't beat Seth at the Royal Rumble. Seth won by DQ. Why does no one want to mention that part? And so, like, when Roman and Seth happens again, it's very weird because this match has obviously happened several times, but it's just, like, never been a big deal. The only time it was a big deal was Money in the Bank, and then it got overshadowed because Dean Ambrose cashed in. It was like Survivor Series 2015 didn't happen because Seth got hurt. And like I said, a majority of their matches have been Raw matches, but it's like, I get it. This is off the top of my head, and I could look it up, but I'm lazy. I'm pretty sure Seth has beat Roman more times than not because I just named the Money in the Bank match. Seth won. There was the time, it was the gauntlet on Raw before Elimination Chamber 2018, and Seth won that because he beat Roman and Cena. They made a big deal out of that. So it's just like, I don't understand why Seth kind of has to look weaker against Roman, considering, like, they were both were part of the Shield. You're equal members of the damn Shield. Match-wise, Seth has won a lot. I'm trying to fantasy book something that doesn't really matter right now. In the grand scheme of things, down the line, it will. But it was very funny that, like, Seth kind of, didn't leave the WrestleMania press conference knowing who he's facing at Mania. And then he tried to, like, that is funny that went in. But then he was trying to, like, step up and make a big deal about it. And then the teaser trailer, more of the story, I've seen people talking about, they could do a tag match with Roman and The Rock versus, I think I just said The Roman, which is hilarious. But The Rock and Roman versus Seth and Cody. I don't want to see that. I really freaking just don't want to see that. I think, this is the last time I'll say this because I've said that a handful of times in this video. I could see that The Rock, either we're going to get The Rock and Roman Reigns night 1, Cody versus Roman night 2, like I just said, or we don't even see The Rock wrestle. He's just there, because this is another, like, opinion that I formed. Like, The Rock and Roman Reigns left the building at the WrestleMania press conference together. They're going to be on this week's SmackDown together. Why the hell would I want to see them face off? They're buddy now, friends, like, and their family. This is a whole, like, point. I was like, I don't want to see these two wrestle because you took all your, like, beef away. You're, like, all family, all smile. It wasn't really smiles, but it's just like, why are y'all really facing was kind of the point I was, like, thinking of during the whole press conference and even after. Like, I think they're going to push that match off. And we just get The Rock in a manager role, maybe an ambassador role. But it's just like, why should I care about Rock and Roman at this moment where they're not, like, at each other's, like, wits as we thought the week prior. I'm trying to, like, simplify it because I'm trying to, like, overcomplicate it. But it's just like, Rock and Roman, like, left the building together. They are close together now. What the hell? What should we even face? And again, especially because now we know we're getting Cody and Roman. Last thing, I hope to God this does not turn into a triple threat because A, like I said, The Rock ain't done anything to freaking get a damn title match. And B, we've seen this song and dance way too many times in the last 20 years of WrestleMania. WrestleMania 20. WrestleMania 22, WrestleMania 24, WrestleMania 25, WrestleMania 30, WrestleMania 31. Technically, that was a cash-in. WrestleMania 32. If you want to count the women's title match at WrestleMania 32, that's fine. WrestleMania 35 and WrestleMania 37. Now, a lot of those matches were very great and had very good builds, but it's just also, again, way too many damn times it's happened, especially when in this situation, the one-on-one match is what we want. We want Cody versus Roman. We want Roman versus Rock. I think logically what could happen and how I would suggest it is that The Rock has Roman on his side, Roman has The Rock on his side, and they're close together now, and he loses. Because, again, Roman's been on this dominant reign now for the last 4 years, 3 to 4 years, depending on how you want to count it. The one damn time The Rock gets involved and is like there to help him, he loses, and he has the blame there, and then that is up to WWE, because now you got another reason for them to beef. Now it is truly who is the head of the table, because the championships are out of the picture. And you could do that match anywhere then. You don't have to handicap it to at this WrestleMania. Like I said, we got like 60 plus days until WrestleMania. The Rock and Roman Reigns will be on SmackDown this week, so a lot could happen. That being said, I said a lot in this video. I know after this video ends, I'll think of freaking something that I didn't say. So I'm trying to wrap it up. This is one thing I will say. I'm talking about AEW. I have just not been the biggest fan of the AEW product the last couple of weeks. It's had good moments like Sting and Darby Allin becoming tag champions, but it's just like I have not been the most thrilled with the build to Revolution and the weekly Dynamites and Collisions I have watched. I will say, I think once Revolution is done, the doors are off the hinges, because we know Will Ospreay is coming. We are 99% sure that there will be someone debuting at their big Dynamite episode, Big Business. If you like, look where it is located and how they spell it, the hints are there. I'm just not saying it. And there's one other wrinkle in the feather who should go to WWE, in my opinion, that might show up in AEW. So, I haven't been the most thrilled with the AEW product. I'm a big Sting fan. I love that he is undefeated. I just very, very, very much feel that he's not going to be undefeated once Revolution ends and it's his whole last big show. But I'll talk more about AEW when Revolution comes about, or my ROH TV reviews. That being said, next week on Shooting the Breeze, I might have to talk a lot more, because again, anything can happen with this build to WrestleMania. This week, I plan on catching up on the Grizzlies. I'm sorry that I've been in this menu the whole time. I plan on catching up in the Grizzlies franchise. I apologize because I had a lot to do this week, and there's a lot that happened this week, so I got to all catch it up in this episode, Shooting the Breeze. I plan on catching up the Grizzlies franchise. I plan on doing a predictions on All-Star Weekend, because like once the events of All-Star Weekend happen, kind of loses its luster. I don't really know when I'm supposed to like review the dunk contest, but I will try my best to do something All-Star Weekend related. It's a fun time of the year in the NBA world, and last year I didn't really capitalize or talk about it. I should and hope to do it this week. And as always, I should have an ROH review as well. So thank you for watching this, catching up. Again, if I forgot something of like importance, I'll put it in the comments down below. I do appreciate you for watching this. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the future.